He put out a lengthy statement on social media yesterday, seeking to set the record straight in terms of some of the emotions that maybe got the better of him in response to a social media video that was circulating over the course of the last 24 hours.
Yeah.
There was a video posted claiming that Rashford had aggressively sworn at a supporter. They're all coming out of the ground.
And gesticulated at him as well.
Yeah, you know when you come out of Old Trafford, which you walk past the tunnel area where they escape out to the car park, everybody congregates there to get autographs in the old days. Now it's selfies. And they were waiting for them to come out and them shouting at them. Some of them said, "Marcus, come over." He didn't really respond. One guy said, "Marcus, come on, especially after that performance, you owe us a picture," or something like that.
Yeah.
And there was a response and whatever. The poster of the video sort of claiming that it was more aggressive than it was. Rashford says it was not an ego thing that he responded in that manner, and that actually all he was doing was beckoning the guy over and saying, "Come and say it to my face." But actually, it was probably ill-advised of him to get involved with it. But ultimately, it shows the sort of emotions that he is facing at the moment, because he's had a difficult couple of years on the pitch.
Yeah, okay. I'm not sure why he's had a difficult couple of years. Maybe because his performance levels have been as good as they should have been. Yeah. And there's been a few injuries in there. I'm not in the camp that allows a player to come back from the European Championships when they weren't fit to go there in the first place, then take a 2-week holiday, then have an operation because really and truly the club is bigger than the player. But that to one side. I mean, look, Marcus Rashford and all younger players that are media-facing are handled by advisors that will suggest that certain responses maybe need to put in place to be able to make sure that any reflection of the player is the right reflection in the public domain, because players are being leveraged for a variety of different alternative reasons.
So what you're saying is this is a PR thing from his PR people.
I'm saying there's no need to respond.
Heartfelt response.
Well, a lot of things are orchestrated. A lot of things that are put out there. A lot of players don't even indulge with their social media themselves. They have someone else sitting behind a keyboard typing it for them. If you feel...
Which is sometimes quite advisable, bearing in mind the stuff they get online.
Yeah, sometimes. We live in a world where you can't take the upside of social media that leverages you into positions that you perhaps shouldn't be in, i.e. of fame and recognisability and achievement and reward, and then complain when you don't get the exact reflection that you want. Yeah. Look, I mean, his first response should have been not to get involved in a conversation. He is a young man playing at an elite football club. He's been around it long enough now to know that it comes with criticism.
Well, he says, "I'm a human being. Reading and hearing stuff about yourself every day wears you down." I mean, is the answer to that improved performances?
Well, of course. I mean, we are talking about players reacting to criticism. We're talking about players reacting to whether it's fair observation. You must remember, no one likes to be criticised. I'm not advocating or suggesting that criticism is fair or appropriate, but it goes with the territory.
Criticism sometimes is fair, isn't it? Well, I mean, you don't improve unless someone turns around and says, "Actually, you're not performing well."
Unbiased, honest criticism is often fair. Emotively driven criticism that's based upon how you feel about an individual situation after a game is often not fair, not pragmatic. And there is an element of that where, you can walk through the players' lounge and owner of a football club winning a game and you'll be kissing everyone's firstborn child. And if you lose a game, you'll be ostracised and be painted as Kaiser Solskjaer.
And no one buy your drink.
And no one want anything to do with them. The bottom line is it was probably ill-advised to get involved with any dialogue. It is what it is. But there's also the flip side of it where you are misrepresented. There is many a time when people say things that we've said on here, or things that have been said, or things that you've done in your life, and suddenly someone represents them in a way which is completely not in any shape or form representative of what actually happened, and you feel the need to correct it. Now, the bottom line is that Marcus Rashford's propensity to want to listen to criticism or to react to it or to make people aware that he's a human being and that he is entitled to reactions of a certain ilk are based upon the ideal scenario where it's a one-way transaction, because I don't think he'll have an emotional outburst about wanting to thank everybody for all the praise that he gets at times.
Well, he's pretty good on social media when things are going well. I mean, he was always pretty communicative in terms of putting posts out there. But I think one of the big issues here is that actually his form has been poor for a very long time. Yeah. This is a guy that's pulled out of several England squads when there's not been that great an explanation for it. You mentioned about the operation prior to the start of the season after he didn't have a particularly great impact at the European Championships.
allowing that to go on.
But ultimately, he started 3 Premier League games in 2022, and if he thinks things are going to get better for him over the course of the next 24 hours, then I've got a warning for him, because I'm not sure he's going to be in the England squad this afternoon.
Possibly, and I don't think on form he could ever expect to be. If we're going to go down the ridiculous notion that because somebody did something for you once upon a time, they should do it, they should get the opportunity to go do it going forward, it sort of decries the fact that players are playing well. It'll decry the fact that people like Bowen might not get in the squad because someone else is going to get in there that potentially did something once upon a time. There's loyalty, and there was a realistic approach to
old Jared's injured, isn't he?
Well, okay, maybe he's not a great example, but I'm talking about the fact that other people that may be on the periphery of international football not getting in because somebody who's an moderately established Premier League international footballer isn't playing well now.
Obviously, things are not going very well for Rashford, and a man management point of view, maybe Gareth will to take him in under his wing and say to him, look, come and make yourself feel better with England.
There is an element of whether you believe that there's two types of management, isn't there? Whether you believe that including somebody and helping them through a difficult period actually helps them overcome, or whether you believe marginalising them and get them to get themselves together and realise that actually their form is down to them.
What would you do with him?
I don't know the personality of the kid. I don't know what he would respond to best. If you do know what he would respond to best, then you're in a position to be able to implement it. I always used to say to people that work for me, if you're going to give somebody a telling off, then make sure that you know how they're going to receive it, because if you're doing it only for the reason of getting it off your chest, and the only person who feels better about it afterwards is you, and you're trying to get an outcome from somebody. If you don't really care how it's received, then don't bother doing it in the first place. The bottom line is if Marcus Rashford's character lends itself to being built up and arm around the shoulder, then there's a possibility that should need to be done. But I'm also of the school of thought, if you want characters in football, you want people with a bit of backbone that can overcome adversity. Everybody can be achieving things. Everybody can be on one another's side when things are going the right way. That's easy. We're all pals. Everyone loves a winner. When it's not going the way you want it to do, that's when you've got to dig deep and have the resolve and the character. And too many modern-day footballers don't have that. So I'm not suggesting Marcus Rashford falls into that category. On form, there is no way he should get anywhere near the England squad. Do you think a young player like Marcus Rashford should have the ability to respond to allegations about something he says he hasn't done, or the methodology or the reasons why he did it?
I think if he feels he's been misrepresented, that he's got every opportunity.
Who's he correcting?
Well, he's correcting the people that are putting it out on
And
Twitter, but if it gets picked up by the national newspapers, it starts doing the rounds. Well, people that read it, and he's got a decent reputation amongst a lot of people, so he wants to protect that reputation. And also, if he genuinely believes that he didn't say it, then he's got every right to turn around and say that he didn't say it. Plus, his
explanation isn't great. The explanation is, come and say it to my face. Well, that's not exactly appeasive, is it? That's not exactly respectful of the fact that someone has gotten entitled. Someone has said to you, you ain't doing it, the least you can do is come take a picture. Now, that could be said as fair game, because let's not be in under any illusion, besides the ability of the player, who has catapulted these players into brackets of financial return that they would never have dreamed.
He's done a lot of good as well around the place.
Put that to one side. No one's talking about what he's done off the pitch. No one's talking about the campaigns that he's done based upon his life experiences, right? We're talking about him as a football player. That's wonderful. Let's now talk about the football player and separate the two, because you don't get a pass from being a very good man off the pitch if you're not doing your job on the pitch. So the fan alluded to the fact that he felt that he was entitled to a picture. We also know that fans have a sense of entitlement. But it is fans, eyes on the prize, eyes on the screens around the world, or fans inside football stadiums that have catapulted footballers into a position of absolutely unassailable wealth. So what is your business, to some extent, besides a reaction of frustration, to turn around and say to somebody, come and say it to my face? That's not appeasing. That's not suggesting that someone shouldn't have said that.
He's stoking the fires.
He's kind of stoking the fire. Now he's trying to put that fire out. I don't think a fan should have that attitude. I think the fan should probably understand that there's an element of frustration burning inside Marcus Rashford. But it's for Marcus Rashford to fix it. And not anyone else.
Yeah. Sam, please don't waste any more time talking about Marcus Rashford. He's overhyped. We've heard it all before.
That's very true.
Do you think so?
Oh, massively. That's the problem with the media in this country, especially with English players. We build them up to levels that they're not at. And then the poor buggers get judged by those standards forever and a day.
So the guy scored on his debut for every single team going through the ranks.
What?
Manchester United.
So what? This is a guy that scores one goal in 3 games. This is not a prolific. Well, this is his record is over 5 or 6 seasons, so it's over a passage of time. So you can see what he is and what he isn't over that period of time. It's difficult to pay for Man United, and he has to be some kind of player to come through their youth development and get into their first team. But he is not a world-class player. He's a very good player.
Over the course of the
he's a very good player, but we are judging him by standards that he wasn't at in the first place, and now we're systematically and routinely pulling him down.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.